This is a Fox News alert. I'm Marianne Rafferty, live in Los Angeles. Legendary actor, two-time Oscar winner and author Gene Hackman and his wife have died. They were found on Wednesday in their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The Santa Fe sheriff saying there's no immediate indication of foul play, but did not provide a cause of death.
Gene Hackman still spent days inside that house with his wife's dead body in the bathroom. The medical examiner did say health-wise, Hackman was in rough shape after she examined his body. These seemingly ordinary photos, when revisited after the shocking death of Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy, suddenly transform into strange puzzle pieces, revealing chilling shadows, unanswered questions about isolation, family conflicts, and mysteries that were never resolved. What truly happened inside the desolate house in Santa Fe? Did Gene Hackman fully grasp the tragedy awaiting him, or was he caught in a mysterious spiral from which he could not escape? And most importantly, behind the faint smiles and empty gazes in those final photographs, what message was this legendary figure trying to convey to us? Join us as we uncover the shocking truths behind the 5 haunting final photos of Gene Hackman before his death. Are you ready to confront the dark secrets and harsh realities behind this cinematic legend? 1. The photo at Speedway on March 28, 2024. One of the final moments of Gene Hackman was captured at a Speedway convenience store in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It was an uneventful day, no special events, no spotlight, and no signs that this would be one of the last times the world would see a living legend. A passerby happened to recognize Hackman and quickly took a photo of him with their phone. The photograph, though unplanned, immediately left a deep impression due to its simplicity and the moment it captured. In the image, Gene Hackman, a legend who once ruled the big screen, appears like any other elderly man, wearing a loose jacket, faded jeans, and holding a cane to assist his slow steps. In this photo, Hackman is holding a cup of coffee and a small apple pie in his hands, a simple snack commonly found at convenience stores. He does not walk with the confidence or heroic demeanor that audiences remember from his roles. Instead, the image reveals a man with a slow, hesitant gait, slouched shoulders, and a tired face, offering a glimpse into a heartbreaking truth. Hackman was in the final stage of his life, where neither health nor time was on his side. This moment was not just an ordinary slice of life, but a portrait of the decline of a legend once admired by the entire world. When looking at this photo, the first thing that strikes you is the stark contrast between the Gene Hackman of today and the Gene Hackman of the past. This is no longer the strong man from The French Connection, who played Detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle with determination and courage. Nor is this the character Will Money from Unforgiven, a man who stood up to the world to defend honor and justice. Instead, Hackman appears as a tired, elderly man performing one of the most mundane tasks, buying snacks at a convenience store. However, upon closer reflection, this photo is more than just a mundane moment. It contains profound layers of meaning about the ravages of time and the dramatic changes in Hackman's life in his later years. Throughout his career, Hackman was a symbol of strength, resilience, and the ability to overcome adversity. But in this photo, he appears weak and frail, as if he had come to terms with the fact that time spares no one, not even the greatest legends. The slow gait and trembling hands in this photo are not merely signs of old age. They may also indicate serious health issues. At 94, Hackman was dealing with common ailments of the elderly, including heart disease and Alzheimer's, both of which were confirmed after his passing. The presence of the cane, a support device he relied on for mobility, further illustrates the physical decline he was enduring. This transforms the photo at Speedway into more than an ordinary moment. It becomes a somber reminder of the fragility of human life. Additionally, the photo is significant because of its setting. A Speedway convenience store, a place Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa frequently visited to shop. This was not a glamorous or famous location, but an entirely ordinary place, reflecting the life Hackman chose after leaving Hollywood. Since announcing his retirement in 2004, Hackman and Betsy lived a reclusive life in Santa Fe, far from the limelight and the noise of the entertainment industry. For them, Santa Fe was a refuge, a peaceful space to enjoy their final years without the pressure or attention of the public. However, this choice of isolation came with unintended consequences. While it shielded Hackman from the distractions of fame, it also caused him and Betsy to gradually lose connection with the outside world. This isolation became a contributing factor in the tragedy of his death, when no one realized the severity of their situation until it was too late. In the Speedway photo, Hackman's loneliness is evident in his distant gaze and weary demeanor. He is no longer the man who once dominated the big screen, but an elderly individual struggling with the challenges of daily life. 2. The photo with pets. Looking at the photo taken at Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa's home in Santa Fe, one immediately senses a peacefulness that reflects the quiet life the couple had built during their final years. Hackman stands next to their German Shepherd bear, gently holding its leash in one hand. Betsy, crouching comfortably beside him, places her hand on the shoulder of another dog, Nick, wearing a soft, natural smile. Gentle sunlight bathes their faces, creating a serene image of what appears to be a pleasant spring or summer day in the southwestern desert of the United States. The photo is a perfect representation of the tranquil life they chose, far removed from Hollywood's glitz and noise, a life they had publicly embraced many years earlier. At first glance, the photo seems to merely capture the warm bond between the couple and their loyal canine companions, pets who have been a significant part of their lives. Bear and Nikita were deeply cherished by Hackman, who considered them integral members of the family. In rare conversations with close friends, Hackman often shared how caring for his dogs brought him immense joy and a sense of purpose, helping him find balance and meaning in his quiet, solitary life after leaving the limelight of the film industry. However, upon closer inspection, one cannot help but notice the absence of another beloved figure. Xena, an Australian Kelpie dearly loved by the couple. According to neighbors and close friends, Xena had a special bond with Betsy, even stronger than that with Bear or Nikita. The absence of Xena in this photo seems more than coincidental. It might have been a harbinger of the tragic events that would later unfold. The devastating truth about the deaths of the Hackman couple and Xena only came to light after February 26, 2025, when police and emergency responders entered the Hackman residence. Following a maintenance workers report, they encountered a heartbreaking scene. Not only were they faced with the lonely and tragic deaths of Gene and Betsy, but also with Xena's dire condition. Xena was found dead in the house, not far from Betsy's body, severely malnourished and dehydrated. Preliminary reports from investigators and animal welfare organizations revealed that Xena's death resulted from prolonged lack of food and water, a consequence of being left unattended for an extended period. What puzzled the public and raised many questions was why Xena had been neglected to the point of death while the other two dogs, Bear and Nikita, survived outdoors. Was this an accident, an unforeseen event in unfortunate circumstances, or did it hint at deeper, more troubling reasons behind the tragedy? These questions led to thorough investigations by law enforcement and even the FBI, given the case's high profile due to Hackman's celebrity status. According to official documents released later, Xena's detailed necropsy report highlighted unusual signs related to her health and care before her death. Her body showed clear evidence of prolonged malnutrition over weeks, even months. Samples taken from her stomach and intestines revealed that Xena had not eaten for at least a week before her death. This was in stark contrast to the public image of Gene Hackman and Betsy as loving, attentive pet owners. This discovery fueled heated debates and controversial theories about the true cause of Xena's death. Some speculated that Xena had inadvertently been locked or forgotten inside the house due to the couple's severe health issues in their later years. Supporters of this theory pointed out that Hackman was reportedly battling Alzheimer's disease at the time, while Betsy also faced significant health challenges. This explanation, though tragic, offered a more compassionate interpretation of the events, suggesting that their neglect of Xena was unintentional and influenced by their declining mental and physical capacities. However, a darker theory also emerged, that Xena's death was not an accident, but possibly connected to Betsy's deteriorating mental health. Some close friends hinted that Betsy had become increasingly isolated in her final days, showing signs of severe depression and paranoia. Could her worsening psychological state have led her to neglect Xena, either unintentionally or even deliberately, as a manifestation of her despair? This question remains unanswered but has undoubtedly cast a shadow over the public's perception of the tragedy. After conducting a thorough investigation, the FBI ultimately found no evidence of deliberate abuse or criminal behavior linked to Xena's death. They concluded that her passing was the unfortunate result of a series of tragic events, a combination of old age, illness, and unavoidable circumstances. Still, the public remains unconvinced, and debates continue, overshadowing the peaceful image of Hackman and Betsy with Bear and Nikita from years ago. What was once a simple, serene photograph now serves as a haunting and sorrowful symbol, reminding us that even the most seemingly perfect and tranquil lives can harbor unseen risks and tragedies capable of erupting without warning. Zena's absence in the photo has inadvertently become a chilling omen of her tragic fate, as well as the subsequent heartbreak that befell the Hackman family. A moment of peace in hindsight has turned into a poignant reminder of life's impermanence, loneliness, and fragility. 3. The photo at the restaurant. A quiet scene and withdrawal from the spotlight. The third photo, taken on March 28, 2024, shortly after the brief moment at the Speedway convenience store, captures Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, stopping by a small restaurant tucked away on the quiet streets of Santa Fe. Unlike the luxurious establishments frequented by Hollywood stars, this was a modest local eatery serving simple dishes like hot soups, burgers, and hearty local stews with green chilies. Unpretentious food that resonated with the everyday lives of New Mexico's residents. This candid snapshot of the elderly couple entering the restaurant was taken by a local passerby, without preparation or interference, and completely free of paparazzi or bustling noise. It was a quiet, gentle moment, yet it carried profound meaning when viewed in the context of what would soon unfold for the couple. Looking closely at the photo, the striking contrast between Hackman's current life and the common perception of a movie star's fame is immediately apparent. Hackman, a man who once graced glamorous red carpets and received thunderous applause from global audiences, now appears at an unassuming, humble eatery. He walks slowly beside his wife, with no trace of his former fame or wealth, wearing an old sweater, a faded baseball cap, and walking with the help of a cane. Hackman quietly enters the restaurant. The dim yellow lighting, simple wooden tables, and a few local patrons who seemed unaware of his presence created an atmosphere of serenity. Betsy, known for her reserved demeanor, gently guided him to a familiar seat without showing much expression or engaging in any notable actions. This simplicity, juxtaposed against Hackman's towering celebrity status, only amplifies the sense of loneliness and perhaps even sadness that lingers in this moment. One notable aspect of the photo is the interaction, or rather, the lack thereof, between Hackman and Betsy. Sitting across from each other at a small table, they don't display the usual warmth, such as affectionate gestures, smiles, or shared looks of joy that one might expect from a couple who had been together for decades. The silence and emotional distance captured in the photo could reflect the quiet and simple life they aspired to during their later years. However, it also subtly hints at an emotional void. Was this an early indication of isolation, even within their seemingly perfect marriage? Or on a deeper level, does it suggest an unspoken dynamic where Betsy exerted quiet control over Hackman's life, as some friends and family implied after his passing? Indeed, some close sources have speculated that Hackman's life in his final years was largely controlled by Betsy. They spoke of her making decisions about where Hackman went, whom he met, and even his daily routines. With this in mind, one cannot help but wonder if this simple meal was Hackman's personal choice, or just another part of Betsy's carefully curated life for him. Perhaps Hackman didn't mind, perhaps he had grown accustomed to her arrangements, or perhaps he had gradually lost the will to resist the choices she made on his behalf. The ambiguity surrounding this dynamic only deepens the haunting quality of the photo. Beyond these personal dynamics, the moment of Hackman and Betsy sitting quietly together in such simplicity carries a broader symbolic weight. It represents the loneliness that often accompanies fame in old age. Hackman chose Santa Fe as his retreat from the spotlight, yet this very choice may have contributed to his isolation. Old connections faded, colleagues drifted away, and only Betsy remained by his side. This may have been what Hackman desired, a peaceful life after the stresses of Hollywood, but it also paints a poignant picture of a great star living in quiet obscurity, with no visitors, no fanfare, and no adoring fans. The price of privacy in this case was the immense burden of solitude. This quiet, unassuming photo now stands as a bittersweet reminder that even the most tranquil and idyllic moments in life can conceal unseen struggles and tragedies. It is a poignant reflection of the impermanence of life, the isolation of fame, and the fragility of human connections, especially in the twilight years. 4. The family photo. The family photo of Gene Hackman joyfully posing with his 3 children, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie, during a skiing trip seems like a simple, happy memory of a famous family. Yet beneath its surface lies a far more complex and poignant story. Taken in the mid-1980s, this rare moment captures Hackman in a state of genuine comfort and happiness with his children, particularly after his tumultuous divorce from his first wife. In the photo, Hackman stands between his kids, his natural broad smile and sparkling eyes radiating joy, a perfect and serene image far removed from the tough, cold characters he often portrayed on the big screen. However, a closer look at this seemingly happy scene reveals a bitter contrast with the complexities of Hackman's personal life, marked by loneliness and strained family relationships. Despite his fame and success, Hackman candidly admitted that his illustrious film career had distanced him from his family, particularly his relationship with his eldest son, Christopher. In rare interviews, Hackman expressed deep regret for not spending more time and attention on his children. He acknowledged that while Hollywood gave him everything, money, fame, and adoration, it also took away the most precious things a father should cherish: family bonds, closeness, and shared time with his children. The distant relationship between Hackman and his son Christopher is perhaps the clearest example of the familial pain Hackman endured in silence. While Christopher is seen smiling next to his father in the photo, an emotional gap loomed between them that could not easily be bridged. Christopher rarely appeared publicly with his father, and later in life he completely vanished from Hackman's personal sphere. This distance became glaringly apparent after Hackman's death in February 2025, when Christopher remained entirely silent toward the media and the public, issuing no statements or tributes to his famous father. His silence, more than words, highlighted the significant emotional divide between them. The photo, which initially appears to capture family happiness, also evokes deeper questions about the mysterious circumstances surrounding Hackman's death. At the time Hackman and his wife, Betsy, were found deceased in their home, one of the most controversial details was that none of Hackman's 3 children, Christopher, Elizabeth, or Leslie, had noticed his prolonged absence. Neither of the 3 detected anything unusual for weeks, raising significant questions about the true nature of their family relationships. Had the father-children bond grown so cold that there was no longer any regular communication? These questions were further fueled by reports of an unusual change to Hackman's will shortly before his death. The FBI and local investigators in Santa Fe launched a formal investigation into the suspicious amendments, which included highly unusual clauses that deviated from Hackman's earlier intentions as publicly stated. Investigation reports even suggested potential involvement or influence from one of his 3 children in altering the will's contents. Separate interrogations with Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie revealed conflicting accounts, adding to the chaos and hinting at deep-seated discord, even a clash of interests among Hackman's children during his final days. This was not merely a matter of financial inheritance. It was a reflection of a severe breakdown in Hackman's relationship with his children. The seemingly perfect image of Hackman and his kids in the skiing photo concealed a profound divide that would only become evident in later years. Hollywood's demands and the pursuit of career success had distanced Hackman from his family, leaving him unable to build a sustainable father-child relationship, especially with Christopher. Psychologists have analyzed that Christopher's emotional detachment from his father likely stemmed from the absence of a strong paternal presence during his formative years. This lack of connection may have caused deep psychological scars, leaving Christopher feeling distant and indifferent toward his father, even as Hackman aged. The emotional chasm between father and son grew so wide that even Hackman's lonely passing failed to elicit a response from Christopher, who chose silence as his way of expressing his feelings, or perhaps as a quiet reproach toward the father who had been absent during the most critical moments of his life. 5. The photo in the U.S. Marine Corps. Among the final widely publicized images of Gene Hackman, one photo stands out not for its tranquility or somberness, but because it represents a pivotal moment in his life. It is a photograph of Hackman as a young soldier, dressed in the uniform of the United States Marine Corps, taken around 1946 when he was just 16 years old. This image is not merely a slice of time, it symbolizes a significant milestone, a humble yet determined starting point that shaped Hackman's personality and paved the way for his illustrious career. Born into an unhappy family, Hackman faced emotional and psychological challenges early in life. His decision to enlist in the Marine Corps at such a young age was a quest for stability and purpose, something he felt his family could not provide. At the time, the world was in a post-World War II period, a chaotic and complex era. As a radio operator, Hackman was deployed to geopolitical hotspots such as China, Japan, and Hawaii, regions still heavily influenced by the echoes of war. His participation in critical missions in these regions forged a disciplined, determined, and resilient young man. These qualities would later become the cornerstone of his success on the Hollywood screen. When looking at the photo of Hackman in his Marine Corps uniform, the first thing that captures the viewer's attention is the strength and resolve radiating from him. His gaze is steady, unwavering, and filled with confidence, reflecting the inner determination of a young man who had left his family behind to embark on a challenging yet promising journey. Gone is the weary, frail look of his later years. Instead, we see a Hackman brimming with youthful energy, ideals, and ambition. This image contrasts sharply with the public's last memories of Hackman in his twilight years. In the photos from the Speedway convenience store or the Santa Fe restaurant, we see an elderly Hackman, slowed by age, walking with assistance and exuding an air of vulnerability. In contrast, the Marine Corps photo shows a strong, upright young soldier radiating confidence and control over his destiny. This contrast is not just about age and physicality. It speaks to the profound difference in spirit and the way life molded him through each stage. On a deeper level, this military photograph carries significant symbolic meaning, serving as a powerful reminder that every legend, no matter how great, begins with humble and ordinary moments. Gene Hackman was not born a Hollywood star or a cinematic legend. He started his adult life as an unknown young soldier, facing challenges and uncertainties in a turbulent world. His experiences as a post-war Marine instilled in him a sense of discipline, decisiveness, resilience, and a calm strength, qualities that became integral to his unique acting style and success in Hollywood. Many film critics and analysts have pointed out that Hackman's time in the military profoundly influenced his understanding of human nature, emotional control, and his ability to convey authenticity in his performances. The roles he brought to life on the big screen often echoed the essence of the young Marine he once was: tough, resolute, sometimes gritty, but always imbued with deep emotional complexity. Characters such as Popeye Doyle in The French Connection or Little Bill Daggett in Unforgiven are prime examples of how his military past shaped his acting craft. The photo of Hackman as a young Marine is not just a relic of his distant past, but a vivid reflection of his inner journey. It illustrates the transformation of a nameless teenager seeking purpose into a seasoned, strong-willed man, and ultimately, a globally respected film icon. In this image, we see the purest version of Gene Hackman before fame, fortune, and the passage of time altered the course of his life. This photograph not only captures a vital historical moment in Hackman's life, but also offers a window into his core identity. It reminds us that the journey of a legend is built on moments of struggle, perseverance, and growth, and that behind the polished veneer of Hollywood stardom lies the raw, unfiltered humanity of a man who started his path in the most unassuming way imaginable. 6 speculations and mysteries surrounding Hackman's death. The tragic and mysterious deaths of Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, have captured intense public and media attention. The couple passed away in complete isolation in their Santa Fe home, a horrifying truth that went undiscovered for several weeks. This has raised numerous questions and revealed the quiet, wounded life led by the legendary film icon in his twilight years. According to medical reports, Hackman was suffering from advanced Alzheimer's, while Betsy was confirmed to have died from hantavirus syndrome, a rare but deadly disease transmitted by rodents. However, while the case seemed to be medically resolved, a series of new suspicions emerged, leading the public to question the untold details surrounding their deaths. The most notable revelation came from Elizabeth Hackman, Gene's second daughter, who reported her concerns to the police, suggesting that her father's death may have been caused by carbon monoxide poisoning. Elizabeth shared that in rare conversations with her father before his death, he had complained about frequent shortness of breath and dizziness, which she believed could be symptoms of silent gas poisoning in the home. Though unexpected, this theory gained attention from investigators due to its scientific plausibility and the long-standing condition of the house. A thorough environmental inspection was promptly conducted by investigators. Initial results showed no significant evidence of a gas leak strong enough to cause fatalities. However, Elizabeth's theory was not entirely dismissed, as follow-up reports revealed signs of deterioration in the home's heating and gas systems. This raised the possibility that prolonged exposure to low levels of toxic gas may have gradually weakened both Hackman and Betsy's health, ultimately contributing to their tragic and isolated deaths. The story became even more complicated when controversial claims surfaced from Leslie Hackman, Jean's youngest daughter, who unexpectedly found herself at the center of investigations involving her father's will and his substantial estate. Leslie was the primary beneficiary of Hackman's revised will, which had been altered shortly before his death. A surprising development for family and friends, especially given the previously strained relationship between Leslie and her father. During the investigation, Leslie's testimony contradicted that of Elizabeth and Christopher, further deepening suspicions about the circumstances surrounding the unusual will. Leslie testified that her father, in his final days, appeared fearful and paranoid, often expressing concerns that someone was trying to harm him. She also mentioned strange occurrences, such as unfamiliar individuals being spotted near their home, and claimed her father had voiced worries about being poisoned or targeted. These statements not only complicated the investigation, but also painted a dark and mysterious picture of Hackman's final days. However, when investigators cross-referenced Leslie's claims with information from neighbors, they found no evidence to substantiate the presence of strangers or threats. This raised doubts about whether Leslie's statements were genuine or intended to obscure other motives. Meanwhile, Christopher Hackman, Jean's eldest son, maintained complete silence and refused to cooperate fully with the investigation, further fueling public speculation. Christopher's distant and cold demeanor led many to wonder whether he knew more than he was letting on. Was his silence a way to conceal sensitive information that could change the narrative of the case? Another prominent theory discussed in the aftermath of their deaths was the role of environmental factors. Santa Fe, with its dry climate, is known for its high rodent activity, aligning with the hantavirus syndrome that Betsy contracted. However, questions arose about whether the couple's isolated lifestyle and the condition of their home accelerated the tragic events. Did their seclusion and the absence of close family or caregivers contribute to the rapid decline of their health, especially as Hackman struggled with advanced Alzheimer's and could no longer care for himself? Even now, with the case officially closed and the deaths ruled as natural causes, the public continues to speculate and raise unanswered questions. While Hackman's death has been attributed to illness and isolation, unresolved gaps remain, secrets that perhaps only those closest to him truly understand. This case serves as a profound reminder of the fragility of old age and the devastating impact of isolation. It also sheds light on the complex and unpredictable realities behind closed doors, even for public figures. Gene Hackman, once a cinematic legend admired worldwide, ended his life shrouded in mystery and unrelenting speculation. A heartbreaking conclusion and a stark warning about the harsh consequences of loneliness and hidden truths. The mysterious death and haunting final images of Gene Hackman are not just a story about a legendary actor passing away in solitude, but also a profound reminder of the fragility of old age, family conflicts, and the darker side of fame. Perhaps behind the dazzling spotlight lies hidden shadows no one could have anticipated. What do you think about these haunting images? Has the truth about Hackman's death been fully uncovered, or are there still secrets waiting to be revealed? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming captivating videos. Thank you for watching and see you next time.